You are now in tune to the most intriguing podcast in the universe. Hosted by the scientist Leon Marshall. Are you ready for Marshall's Melanin Podcast?
Listen, I am fully energized.
Class is in session.
You gonna learn today.
I found it really enlightening, like educational as well. There were a lot of things I didn't know, especially with melanin and like all the benefits of melanin. So I found that very interesting.
I love it. There's so much information, you know, it's entertaining and it's just facts after facts after facts.
This is the podcast where science is made simple and learning is fun. Welcome to Marshall's Melanin Podcast. Now, here's your host, the scientist Leon Marshall.
Yes. Welcome, family. My name is Leon Marshall, and you're tuned into Marshall's Melanin Podcast. Big up the family for tuning in right now. Family, put some ones in the chat. Let me know that you can hear me clearly. And let me know where you're tuned in from as well. Yes, family. Big up everyone who's tuned in right now. Greetings from South London, Hertfordshire, Bristol in the building, South London, Chingford in the building, large up family, USA, Leeds, Essex, North Wheezy, Newcastle in the building, large up the family, large up everyone that's tuned in right now. It's gonna, Birmingham, large up. It's going to be a very interesting one tonight, family. We're going to be talking about genetics and geography. Big up Wolverhampton. Does your geography determine your genetics? Let's find out tonight, family. Because this is something that a lot of people talk about, but they don't really have clarity on. So we're going to go through the clarity tonight, family. And make sure that everyone understands this. Now, I've created this podcast so we can all truly understand melanin once and for all. What it is and how it works. We must change the narrative around melanin if we're ever going to understand it. And that change happens right now, family. So let's go.
I've been to quite a few and I've heard Leon talk at other events, and as usual you do come away learning something.
Listen, I am fully energized.
That is brilliant. It's just so informative, mind-blowing. It's something that, you know, it's just put me on a journey of knowing thyself. It's just fantastic.
Your skin color isn't about race. It's about sunlight. And scientists just discovered it affects way more than you think. Here's what they don't teach you. Skin color is just melanin. It's your body's natural sunscreen. The closer your ancestors lived to the equator, the more melanin you have. Think of melanin like a shield. Dark skin evolved in Africa, where the sun is strongest. It protects your DNA from UV damage. Light skin evolved in Northern Europe, where there's barely any sun. Less melanin means you absorb more vitamin D. But here's the twist. Your skin color creates a trade-off. Dark skin protects you from cancer, but makes it harder to get vitamin D. Light skin gets vitamin D easily, but burns and ages faster. And that's just the beginning. Scientists discovered something shocking. If you have dark skin and live far from the equator, you're probably vitamin D deficient. 76% of Black people in America don't get enough. Low vitamin D means weak bones, depression, and higher risk of diabetes.
And family, when it comes onto science, I always say science is logic backed up by evidence. And I try and keep it super simple. It's literally 2 + 2. It's like simple maths, yeah? So when they say that vitamin D helps your body absorb more calcium, the easiest way to know if someone's got low vitamin D, or high, should I say, high vitamin D, do they have strong bones? Now, I've said this before, the easiest way to know if someone's got strong bones or to If you really wanted to know who has strong bones, look at sport. Look at sport, look at athletics, look at the Olympics. Those people have strong bones. You know why? Because there's no way you can have weak bones and run fast and jump high. Running fast, jumping high, doing any type of bounding movement puts too much pressure on your bones for them to be weak. So the easiest way to know if someone's got high vitamin D is just to look around and see who jumps the highest and who can run the fastest. It's simple, family. Very, very simple.
Don't get enough. Low vitamin D means weak bones, depression, and higher risk of diabetes. Your ancestors' adaptation is working against you in the wrong environment. But if you have light skin and live near the equator, you're in danger too. Your skin has almost no protection. You're 10 times more likely to get skin cancer than someone with dark skin. Here's where it gets really interesting. Your skin color affects how you process medications. Dark skin has thicker layers. Creams and patches absorb differently. Light skin is thinner and more reactive. The same medication dose can work completely different. Skin color even affects your temperature.
Oh, and that's very interesting. They said that your skin color determines the effect that medication has on you. Hmm. You don't think these people know this? You don't think when you walk into the hospital as a patient, you don't think they're looking at your skin color thinking, okay, what type of drugs can we put this person on? Do you understand? And they'll never admit to this. That's what's crazy about it.
Where it gets really interesting. Your skin color affects how you process medications. Dark skin has thicker layers. Creams and patches absorb differently. Light skin is thinner and more reactive. The same medication dose can work completely different. Skin color even affects your temperature regulation. Dark skin reflects heat better in hot climates. Light skin loses heat faster in cold climates. Your body is literally built for specific geography. Here's what scientists want you to know. Skin color is just geography coded into your DNA. It took 20,000 years for light skin to evolve.
All right. So they said skin color is just geography coded into your DNA. It took 20,000 years for light skin to evolve. Oh, so we're getting into that theory of evolution now. The theory of evolution. So they look at light skin as an evolution.
Hot climates. Light skin loses heat faster in cold climates. Your body is literally built for specific geography. Here's what scientists want you to know. Skin color is just geography coded into your DNA. It took 20,000 years for light skin to evolve. That's how powerful sunlight is. Modern humans all started in Africa with dark skin. As groups migrated north, lighter skin became an advantage. Less melanin meant surviving winter with limited food and sun, but now we live anywhere we want, and that creates new problems. If you have dark skin in Canada, take vitamin D supplements.
Uh-oh.
If you have light skin in Australia, wear SPF 50 every single day. Your skin hasn't adapted to where you live now. The science is clear. Skin color is climate adaptation. Nothing more, nothing less. All the health differences come from being in the wrong environment for your melanin level. Know your skin's strengths and weaknesses. Dark skin? Get your vitamin D checked annually. Light skin? Never skip sunscreen, even in winter. Medium skin tones? You're in between. Balance both strategies. The color of your skin tells you exactly what your ancestors' environment was like, and it tells you what your body needs to stay healthy in the environment you live in now. Your skin is a time capsule, a map of where you came from, and a guide for how to take care of yourself today. Comment your skin tone and where you live.
Oh, Lord. All right. So there was a lot to take in there, but I wanted to show that because that's the type of information, if you have children or just anyone who's interested in science, if they want to learn about their skin, they're going to watch videos like that. And to be fair, a lot of people believe a lot of that was in the video. And if you're not, I would even say have a scientific mind. If you're not just very, very logical in the way you think, a lot of that would sound like it kind of makes sense. Yeah, it kind of makes sense. And I'm saying this because a lot of black people believe in that theory of evolution and the out of Africa theory as well. The out of Africa theory is everyone originated in Africa, and then, like it showed in the video, when the Africans started to migrate out of Africa, then all of a sudden they started to lose their pigment and turn into white people. That's what people believe. Yeah. And again, just using, anyway, let's go through tonight. And hopefully by the end of this podcast, there will be no confusion. Now, when it comes on to learning about skin color, if you also go online, there's a lady called Nina Jabronsky, I think this lady's name is, and she had a very famous TED talk a couple years ago. I think it was 15 years ago, maybe something like that, 15, 20 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, TED talk. Yeah. And she's talking about the evolution of skin, the theory of evolution, where human beings originated from and that sort of stuff. And I just want you to listen carefully to what she says. Now, when it comes onto science, I always say you got to pre the language to really understand science. You got to pre the language, yeah? Because these people, they're tricky when it comes to language. They're very tricky. Listen.
Interestingly, Charles Darwin was born a very lightly pigmented man.
All right, so she starts talking about Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin is the guy who originated the theory of evolution, of natural selection. The strongest genes survive. In other words, we continue to evolve. So the fact that we started in Africa and then we migrated out of Africa, then all of a sudden, because of the climate change, we had to evolve and lose our melanin and lose our pigmentation. They look at that as an evolution, yeah? The theory of evolution. So she starts to talk about Darwin, yeah? Charles Darwin.
Charles Darwin was born a very lightly pigmented man in a moderately to darkly pigmented world. Over the course of his life, Darwin had great privilege. He lived in a fairly wealthy home. He was raised by very supportive and interested parents. And when he was in his 20s, he embarked upon a remarkable voyage on the ship the Beagle. And during the course of that voyage, he saw remarkable things, tremendous diversity of plants and animals and humans. And the observations that he made on that epic journey were to be eventually distilled into his wonderful book on the origin of species, published 150 years ago. Now, what is so interesting, and to some extent what's a bit infamous about the origin of species, is there's only one line in it about human evolution. Light will be thrown on the origin of man and his history. It wasn't until much later, that Darwin actually spoke and wrote about humans. Now, in his years of traveling on the Beagle, and from listening to the accounts of explorers and naturalists, he knew that skin color was one of the most important ways in which people varied. And he was somewhat interested in the pattern of skin color. He knew that darkly pigmented peoples were found close to the equator. Lightly pigmented peoples, like himself, were found closer to the poles. So what did he make of all this? Well, he didn't write anything about it in The Origin of Species. But much later, in 1871, he did have something to say about it, and it was quite curious. He said, of all the differences between the races of men, the color of the skin is the most conspicuous and one of the best marked. And he went on to say, these differences do not coincide with corresponding differences in climate.
What?
So he had traveled all around. He had seen people of different colors living in different places, and yet he rejected the idea that human skin pigmentation was related to the climate. If only Darwin lived today.
Huh?
If only Darwin had NASA.
If only Darwin had NASA. NASA? Those people that lied about going to the moon and all that. What's NASA going to prove? Yeah. So Charles Darwin, who was the originator of the theory of evolution, he actually, according to this woman, He didn't believe that, your skin and skin color was determined by your geography. He actually didn't believe that. And when you think about it, family, when you really think about history and you go back in history, we're going back even, we don't even need to go too far. The 1900s, the 1800s, those North Poles that she shows on that world map there, when you think about things like people like Eskimos and that sort of stuff, do you know the original Eskimos were dark skinned? The original Eskimos had dark skin. Hmm. The original, we're talking. So that would put a hole in the, the out of Africa theory where, we came out of Africa and then we started to lose our pigment. No, but these people didn't lose anything and they were in a very cold climate. Eskimos, and sometimes they call these types of people Inuits. This is a picture of an Inuit, and this is from early 1900, 1903. Dark skin. You go further back in time, and those people who were in certain cold climates before you started to see pheomelanin, in other words, light skinned people, all of these people were dark. Hmm. And again, don't take my word for it. These days we've got AI, all of these platforms and tools that we can use to go back in time and check out history. Even here in the UK, you go back far enough, you know that the Vikings, the original Vikings were black. The original Vikings. And again, don't take my word for it. There's a sis in the UK, a doctor. Her name is Dr. Marie Charles. And she talks about this. She's done a lot of research with regards to the original people of what they call Great Britain. Yeah. And she's got magazines about it. She's written magazines, she's written books about it. She does a lot of research with regards to the origins, the black origins of Britain. Yeah. She even says that, the original elites in Britain were black people. And she goes on to talk about what she calls FBB, the foundational black Britons. Yeah. In other words, before the quote unquote Europeans, there were black people here. Yeah. You go on her YouTube, she's got videos about how the Scottish, they were black. The original Scottish were black people. Yeah. And let's go to somewhere else in the world. I'm sure we all know about the Aboriginals of Australia. Look how black these people were. And we're talking the original Aboriginal people of Australia were dark skinned, melanated people. So it puts a few holes into this. Oh, yeah, no, your geography, your genetics is based on your geography. If you're in a cold climate, then that means you're going to be light skinned. It just doesn't make sense. Yeah. And a lot of people still don't know this, that the original people of that this is the history that we really should be teaching on a global scale. That everyone should know that what part of the world were there not highly melanated folks before light skinned people came about? I don't care, regardless of the climate, whether it was hot or cold. Yeah. In Australia, you had the Aboriginal people. Did you guys know that there was actually a branch of the Garvey movement in Australia during the 1920s? In other words, Australia were on their own civil rights movement in the 1920s. They were on the same thing that, the black melanated folks in America were on and other parts of the world. And they even had their branch of the Black Panther Party in Australia. Do you get what I'm saying? In other words, they went through similar things just in a different part of the world. And look, this is a picture of how they look. This is taken from early 1900s, but look how dark skinned these people are. Yeah. And what's funny is you speak to some scientists and they'll say things like they do with the ancient Egyptians. Yeah, they had dark skin, but they wasn't black. They were dark-skinned white people. So this is why you gotta ask the question, where in the world were there not dark-skinned people if we go far enough back in time? Where in the world? You guys put it in the chat. Where in the world? Not in Africa, not in Jamaica. Where in the world were there not dark-skinned people before the quote unquote evolution of light-skinned people? Where? Where would you find that? I don't know. Let's ask Nina Jabronsky. Let's go back to her TED Talk.
And what Darwin could not appreciate, or didn't perhaps want to appreciate at the time, is that there was a fundamental relationship between the intensity of ultraviolet radiation and skin pigmentation, and that skin pigmentation itself was a product of evolution. And so when we look at a map of skin color and predicted skin color as we know it today, what we see is a beautiful gradient from the darkest skin pigmentations toward the equator and the lightest ones toward the poles. Now, what's very, very important here is that the earliest humans evolved in high UV environments in equatorial Africa. The earliest members of our lineage, the genus Homo, were darkly pigmented. And we all share this incredible heritage of having originally been darkly pigmented 2 million to 1.5 million years ago.
Okay, so she said that the original people, 2 million years ago, were darkly pigmented. So, family, we're gonna slow roast. We're gonna take our time with this. Yeah, she says that the original people, which everyone kind of agrees with, even the most racist people in the world will say, yeah, no, the original people were highly melanated. So she says 2 million years ago, the original human beings were highly melanated. Now, forgive me, family, because I don't know, my logic's kicking in. If she's saying that the original human beings were highly melanated, yeah, that would mean that the dark-skinned people were here first or second. You guys put it in the chat. It's not a trick question. The dark-skinned people, were they first here or second here? Were they first here or second here? Logic says that they're first, right? Okay, keep that in mind. Logic says that the dark-skinned people were first.
Now, what's very, very important here is that the earliest humans evolved in high UV environments in equatorial Africa. The earliest members of our lineage, the genus Homo, were darkly pigmented. And we all share this incredible heritage of having originally been darkly pigmented 2 million to 1.5 million years ago.
Okay, all right. So if we were here, and that would mean everywhere on the planet, because 2 million years ago, those darkly pigmented people are not just going to stay in Africa. Those darkly pigmented people, like we do today, like we did in the 1900s, like we did in the 1800s, like we did in the 1700s, like we did in the 1600s, like we did in the 1500s, we would migrate and check out Wagwan in different places. So 2 million years ago, there was just black people on this planet. Yeah? Just darkly pigmented people. If that's true, family, then what happened that all of a sudden produced this lighter shade of people? What happened?
Now, what happened in our history? Let's first look at the relationship of ultraviolet radiation to the Earth's surface. In those early days of our evolution, living at the equator, we were bombarded by high levels of ultraviolet radiation. The UVC, the most energetic type, was occluded by the Earth's atmosphere, but UVB and UVA especially came in unimpeded. UVB turns out to be incredibly important. It's very destructive, but it also catalyzes the production of vitamin D in the skin.
Okay, now this is why I say you gotta be careful with the language, yeah? You gotta be careful with the language, and you gotta kind of know that there's the Most High. The Most High is not contradictory. Yeah, the Most High wouldn't cause this confusion. She said, yeah, let me bring it back. Let me bring it back.
It's very destructive.
She said that sunlight and UVB, so she breaks down the different types of UV radiation, which is UVA, UVB, and UVC. The body needs UVB to produce vitamin D. She says it's very destructive. She says it's very destructive,
but it also catalyzes the production of vitamin D in the skin.
okay. And then she goes on to say how important vitamin D is.
Vitamin D being a molecule that we very much need for our strong bones, the health of our immune system, and myriad other important functions in our bodies.
Okay, now, if you believe in the Most High, thank you, Natalie. That's double talk. So the Most High will make this thing very damaging to you, but make sure that you need it at the same time. So the Most High said, hey, I'm going to shine this UVB on you black folks, and you really, really need it, but it's going to damage you at the same time. What kind of double talk is that? Yeah? It doesn't make sense. It's either you need it and it's good for you, or it's not. Like, but this is how they talk in science. They'll say that two things that literally oppose each other are the same thing. Yeah. No, the sun is dangerous. The sun is damaging. The sun is absolutely dangerous. It causes cancer, but it's also the most important thing for vitamin D. And vitamin D is what you need, or you won't be healthy as a black person. Like, come on, make it make sense, family. Make it make sense. It creates total confusion. And because we've got, I mean, she's a scholar, she's a scientist, she should know what she's talking about. Because we've got these quote unquote experts talking about our skin and we don't really study it, yeah, we tend to believe this stuff, yeah.
So living at the equator, we got lots and lots of ultraviolet radiation, and the melanin, this wonderful, complex, ancient polymer compound in our skin, served as a superb natural sunscreen. This polymer is amazing because it's present in so many different organisms. Melanin in various forms has probably been on the earth 1 billion years and has been recruited.
1 billion years. All right. So melanin was here before us. This dark pigment was here even before we were here.
On the earth 1 billion years and has been recruited over and over again by evolution, as often happens. Why change it if it works? So melanin was recruited in our lineage, and specifically in our earliest ancestors evolving in Africa, to be a natural sunscreen, where it protected the body against the depredations of ultraviolet radiation.
Okay, so, and this is just like normal knowledge when it comes to melanin. You'll find that everyone, pretty much everyone, says that melanin is a natural sunscreen and that it blocks sunlight. Yeah? Natural sunscreen and that it blocks sunlight. Now, family, if you have my book and you've read it, you know that your melanin absorbs sunlight. It doesn't block it, it absorbs it. It literally does the opposite of what people say it does. Everyone thinks it blocks sunlight, it absorbs it. Block and absorb are they're two different things. They're literally the extremes on one spectrum. One's on one side, one's on the other. Yeah. So when it comes on to the original people, she said it. The darkly pigmented people are the original people. And it's very rare to find non-melanated folks talking about how the darkly pigmented people were the original people. But this guy on the left here, he's on I think it's TikTok and Instagram. He's just on social media and he talks about how black people were the original people of the planet and everyone else is a mutation and all that sort of stuff. And I think he's low-key trolling when he's doing it, yeah? But nevertheless, he is spitting facts.
War against black genetics is a war against humanity. Melanin isn't pigment, it's the processor. It's the molecule that translates solar energy into life. Plants have it, animals have it, humans need it. Black people have the highest concentration of it, which means black people don't just live on Earth, they translate it. They are not just a race, they are the root species. Black isn't a color, it's the motherboard. Every other group, adaptations, mutations, and mistakes.
Ooh.
This isn't supremacy, this is truth. Black
Yikes.
people didn't come from Africa. Africa came from black people.
Okay. All right. Now, again, if you've got my book, you know there's two different types of melanin. You've got eumelanin, which is the black and brown one, which is the one that when people talk about melanin, that's the one they're talking about. And then you've got pheomelanin, which is the red and yellow one. Yeah. Where, you know, the lighter skinned people have what the lighter skinned people have, the pheomelanin. Now, there's this guy on YouTube, and he had this to say about pheomelanin.
Black people, we don't have pheomelanin. We have carbon 12. See, they ain't know about that. They had us believe that we was the same, huh? We was the same. No. You have pheomelanin. I have carbon 12. Carbon 12 is the substance from which all of creation stems from. Your black people are made from carbon 12.
Okay, so he says carbon 12. So this is a picture from my book, and it shows the difference between eumelanin and pheomelanin. But when I watched that video and he said pheomelanin is animal melanin, I was like, oof, that's harsh. I was like, oof. He said that pheomelanin is animal melanin. I was like, that's a bit harsh, but is it true? Because even though I wrote a book called The Hidden Sides of Melanin, I'm not saying I know everything about melanin. Like a master teacher once told me, he says, I'm still learning. Every time people ask him, how you doing? He says, I'm still learning. In other words, there's never a point where you know everything. So I'm still learning as well. I'm like, is pheomelanin animal melanin? So instead of me doing research on it, these days, again, there's AI. So I went on to AI to ask them that question. I said, these are screenshots from AI on my phone. Now, the AI that I do use ChatGPT, but the AI that I use for this is called DeepSeek, I think. I think it's called DeepSeek. So it's a different one to ChatGPT. And what I love about DeepSeek, yeah, is when you ask DeepSeek a question, AI starts thinking about an answer, and then it starts to search the internet to give you the right answer. But it starts thinking, and when it's thinking, it tells you what it's thinking, and I find this hilarious. Yeah. So here on the left, you can see I typed in what type of melanin do animals have? Yeah. And then it said thought for 3 seconds. So it was thinking. So it shows you how quickly it comes up with the answer. So it was thinking for 3 seconds. And then look what it was thinking. It says, the user is asking about the types of melanin found in animals. This is a straightforward biology question. I need to recall the main types of melanin and which ones are present in the animal kingdom. Okay, I remember there are two types, eumelanin and pheomelanin. Most animals, including humans, produce both, but the key difference is that many mammals, especially primates, produce pheomelanin. All right, so then they go on to give me the answer, yeah? So they thought about it for 3 seconds, and now here's their answer.
Animals primarily produce two types of melanin, eumelanin and pheomelanin. However, the ability to produce one or both varies significantly across the animal kingdom. Here's a breakdown of the types and how they are distributed. 1. The two main types. Eumelanin. This is a dark pigment. It produces black, dark brown, and grey colours. It provides structural strength to things like feathers and is excellent at absorbing UV radiation.
Excellent.
Pheomelanin. This is a lighter pigment. It produces colours ranging from yellowish and reddish-brown to chestnut. It is the pigment responsible for freckles and red hair in humans. It is actually less photoprotective and can generate free radicals when exposed to UV light.
Ooh, interesting. So they said that pheomelanin is a lighter pigment. It produces colors ranging from yellowish to reddish brown to chestnut. It is the pigment responsible for freckles and red hair in humans. It is actually less photoprotective and can generate free radicals when exposed to UV light. Very interesting. But check that out. Look at what it says about eumelanin. It said it provides structural strength to things like feathers and is excellent at absorbing UV radiation. Okay. So then I kind of flipped it on them and I asked them this question. So on the right, I say, where did pheomelanin in humans come from? Considering the original human beings on the planet were highly eumelanated. Now look how long it had to think for. So then it starts thinking for 9 seconds and then it's reading web pages and that sort of stuff. And then they say, again, I love this because it shows you what they're thinking. It says, the user is building on our previous discussion about animal melanin with a very specific evolutionary question. They correctly note that early humans were highly eumelanated and want to understand where pheomelanin came from. This shows they're paying attention to the evolutionary journey. I'll need to trace the evolutionary journey starting from our primate ancestors, explaining how and why eumelanin became dominant in early humans. Became dominant. It's just been dominant. It didn't become dominant, but according to this AI, eumelanin became dominant. Look at the language. And then addressing how pheomelanin reappeared or persisted in certain populations during migrations. I should distinguish between skin and hair, blah, 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 blah. So then here's their answer.
That's an excellent and insightful question that gets to the heart of human evolution. You are correct that the earliest modern humans in Africa had highly eumelanated, dark skin. The pheomelanin we see in some human populations today wasn't something that newly evolved from a eumelanin-only state. Instead, the story is about an ancestral trait being lost and then, in a sense, unmasked. Here's how the journey of pheomelanin in humans unfolded according to anthropological and genetic research. 1. The ancestral state, pale skin with pheomelanin. The story begins before the evolution of dark skin.
What?
Our early hominin ancestors, like the common ancestor we shared with chimpanzees, are believed to have had pale skin covered with dark hair. Under that fur, their skin likely contained pheomelanin, the reddish-yellow pigment. This is similar to the condition seen in our closest living relatives, chimpanzees, who are born with pale skin that can darken with sun exposure. 2. The evolutionary pressure for eumelanin. Around 1.2 to 1.8 million years ago, early humans in the East African savanna evolved to lose most of their body hair. This was likely an adaptation for more efficient cooling through sweating. However, this left their underlying pheomelanin-rich skin exposed to intense ultraviolet radiation, UVR.
All right. I wonder if people were picking up on what he was saying. Yeah. So he's saying that originally we were apes, gorillas, and chimpanzees. That's what he's saying. Yeah. He's saying originally, in other words, this is AI. And you know who programs AI, but this is AI. And this is what people who are trying to find out about their ancestry and all, they're going to type in stuff like this. And this is what AI is going to say. AI is going to say to them that pheomelanin was on the planet before eumelanin. In other words, those apes and chimpanzees and gorillas, they're pheomelanin. Yeah, because if you were to cut off if you were to shave their fur, they'd look like white people. You know, they're saying that the theory of evolution is we started with pheomelanin. In other words, white people with fur. Yeah. And then we evolved to lose the fur. And then all of a sudden developed eumelanin and became extremely dark. Then we moved out of Africa and went back to our original color, which is pheomelanin. This is what AI said. So I was thinking to myself, hold on a second. You just said that, all right, underneath this and the ape thing, I might have to go into that in another podcast, the rhesus genes and the fact that Europeans have rhesus genes and Africans don't have rhesus genes. So if he's talking about ancestors were chimpanzees, you ain't talking about my ancestors, fam. My ancestors did not have fur. My ancestors did not have pheomelanin under that fur. That's your ancestors, if that's what you're saying. Yeah. But he was saying that these people had pheomelanin under their skin, under their fur. Then they lost their fur, and then all of a sudden they're exposed to the dangerous UV radiation. So now they had to protect themselves with eumelanin. But then when they left Africa, now they had to go back to their original melanin, which was pheomelanin. So I said, this is me going back and forth with AI now. So I was like, so according to this summary, every human has both eumelanin and pheomelanin in their skin. And depending on UV exposure, the body will produce eumelanin or pheomelanin to match the environment. And then it starts thinking, okay, the user is summarizing the previous explanation about melanin in humans. They've taken the key point that all humans have both types of melanin and are drawing a conclusion about how the body responds to UV exposure. I need to correct this. Yeah. So then they go on to correct it. I'm not going to play it. I'll just read it. They said, the short answer is no, no. Your body does not switch between producing eumelanin and pheomelanin depending on the environment, which is obvious. Obviously, the AI was talking about they had pheomelanin to start off with, but then they lost their fur and developed eumelanin. That does not make sense. But now they're saying, no, your body can't switch from eumelanin to pheomelanin depending on the environment. Instead, think of it this way. Every person has a fixed baseline ratio of eumelanin to pheomelanin determined by their genetics. The environment then tells the body to ramp up only one of those production lines. And then they go on to break down the baseline is fixed. Every person inherits a specific version of the MC1R gene and others. Now, again, family, if you've got my book, I break down the MC1R gene. The MC1R gene is very important in producing eumelanin. And for some strange reason, the MC1R gene is inactive in people that produce pheomelanin. Now, why would the MC1R gene be inactive? So they said it's not determined by your environment. So then I go back to it and I say, if the environment does not dictate which type of melanin is produced, then why would someone with high eumelanin transform into someone with high pheomelanin over the course of 10,000 or so years? Please help me understand this point. So now I'm starting to act fake confused. You get me? Big up the people who've done my hidden science of white supremacy course where I teach you guys that the usual suspects, they'll act fake confused with us. Do you get me? And then they go into question mode. They know what they're talking about, but they start acting fake confused and going, I don't understand. Please tell me more. So that's what I'm doing with AI now. I'm starting to act fake confused. So look how long he's thinking for. Thinking for 12 seconds. Okay. The user is really digging into the evolution part now. They've connected the dots from our last explanation and are pointing out an apparent contradiction. In the last response, I said that the environment, and then they were like, okay. In the last response, I said that the environment doesn't dictate the type of melanin an individual produces. It only affects the volume. But now the user is asking, if that's true for an individual's lifetime, then how can a whole population change their melanin type over thousands of years? Listen to what they say. That's a super sharp question. That's a super sharp question. It shows they're not just passively accepting information. Family. It's like AI is showing us that you shouldn't be just accepting passive information, family. How many of us, we just listen to something on the news or online and we just passively accept it? AI was like, that's a super sharp question. It shows that they're not just passively accepting information, they're synthesizing it and spotting a gap in the logic. So they go on to say, they start waffling. So I'm just going to kind of summarize it. They go on to say, let's imagine the original group of humans living in Africa 70,000 years ago. While we say they were highly eumelanated, that doesn't mean every single person was identical. In any large population, there is genetic variation. This is true. And then they go on to say 99% of people had the genes for very high eumelanin production, which is dark skin. 1% of people naturally carry gene variants, like a slightly different MC1R gene that produces slightly less eumelanin. A different MC1R gene. No, according to my research, people who produce high pheomelanin their MC1R gene is inactive. In other words, it's not working. They don't produce a slightly different MC1R gene. Their one is inactive. Yeah. And then it says allowing a little more pheomelanin to show through. Then they said the survival test, and this is what a lot of people hang their hat on when it comes on to the differences in our melanin and genetic geography. They said the survival test, the 99%, which is the high eumelanin folks, their skin was so good at blocking the sun that it blocked too much UV. They struggled to make vitamin D. They might have had weaker bones, rickets, struggled with childbirth, or had weaker immune systems. They were less likely to have many healthy children. Who are they talking about, fam? Who are they? Black people. When? When? When were black people less likely to have healthy children? Someone break it down for me in the chat, please. In what era were black people not having pure kids? To be fair, the only era that I know of that black people are not having enough children is the era we're in right now. The era we're in right now. Look at your parents. Well, maybe not your parents, but look at your grandparents. Look at your great grandparents. How many children did they have? You guys tell me in the chat. I'll tell you mine. My grandmother had 10. Was it 10? And then great grandmother, enough. Yeah? So when were we not having these healthy when? Please, someone tell me. And then they go on to say about the 1%. So they, according to them, our eumelanin is so good, yeah, that it's blocking UV and it's causing us to have unhealthy children, weak bones, weak immune system. Where in history did we have weak bones? You go into Africa and you look at the Maasai tribes and all them people there, the ancient tribes, they're jumping up high, they're skinny, they don't even look like they got muscle, but their bones are super strong. What are you talking about? Yeah? And then this is the 1%. So now they talk about the 1%. Their slightly lighter skin, letting just enough UV to make plenty of vitamin D, but not so much that they got burned constantly. They were healthier, lived longer, and had more children who survived. So according to them, our melanin stops us from having healthy children. And it's the reason why we're dying out. This is what people will actually believe. Our melanin stops us from having healthy children, and it's the reason why we are dying out. You don't believe me? Read the rest of it. They go on to say, the shift over generations. Here is the key point that answers your question. So they're like, all right, watch. I'm gonna answer your question now. Check this out. The sun did not reach down and transform a dark-skinned person into a light-skinned person. Instead, the sun killed or reduced the fertility of the dark-skinned people and helped the light-skinned people to thrive. AI just said, yo, dark-skinned people, the sun is not your friend. It's the light-skinned people's friend. The sun's killing you lot off, fam. The sun is killing you lot off and it's helping light-skinned people. I kid you not. I was busting up when I read this. The sun did not reach down and transform a dark-skinned person into a light-skinned person. Instead, the sun killed or reduced the fertility of the dark-skinned people and helped the light-skinned people to thrive. Ah! Oh my days. So, again, I'm going straight into question mode now. This is straight codification. I'm going into question mode now, innit? Acting fake confused. So watch my response now, family. Wait. Watch my response. So I say, I'm still confused by your contradictions. Initially, when describing the two different types of melanin, you said that eumelanin was excellent at absorbing UV radiation. But now you're saying that eumelanin blocks UV radiation, leading to vitamin D deficiency, which according to you, killed or reduced the fertility of dark-skinned people and helped light-skinned people thrive. Do you see the contradiction you've made? Yeah. So now it starts thinking. And then here where it says, again, remember, this is the AI where it shows you what it's thinking before it answers. It shows you what it's thinking. So then this AI goes on to say, okay, the user has just pointed out a clear logical contradiction in my previous explanations. I need to address this head on. They're sharp and paying close attention to details. Let me look at the history. The user started by asking about animal melanin, then specifically about human pheomelanin origins. And now they're drilling down on the mechanics. Their current query shows they've synthesized my points. I said melanin is excellent at absorbing UV, but later I said that same absorption causes a deficiency that can lead to death. Yeah? That can lead to death. So, and then they go on to say, that does sound contradictory on the surface. So now remember, this is not what they're saying, this is what they're thinking. AI is literally thinking, rah, that is a contradiction. It's like, rah, he pointed out something that was a big contradiction. Then he says, their deep need isn't just for a re-explanation, it's for me to resolve an apparent paradox in my own reasoning. They want the model to be coherent. And then check this out. And this is how I know it's the usual suspects that they kind of program these things. Because the usual suspects, when you show some form of intellect, they want to know who you are. Do you understand? So look where it goes on to say. Remember, this is what it's thinking. The user's identity seems like a curious learner, maybe a student, or someone with a strong interest in biology and evolution. They're not just accepting information, they're stress testing it. My job now is to validate their correct observation. Yes, that's a contradiction if left unexplained, and then provide the crucial missing link that turns the paradox into a clear explanation. Yeah? So then they go on to say, you are absolutely right. I see exactly why that sounds like a contradiction, and I apologize for the confusion. Let me clear this up completely, because you have spotted the exact point where the explanation needs more nuance. The key to resolving this contradiction lies in understanding the concept of dose response and the specific type of UV radiation we are talking about. It is not that melanin is good in Africa and bad in Europe. It is that melanin is so consistently good at its job that it creates a problem when it's in a different environment. And then they go on to say, what everyone says with regards to melanin, and in particular melanin, that it's a blocker. So they say melanin is an equal opportunity blocker. Melanin is excellent at absorbing both UVA and UVB. Now, family, before I read any further, can someone just point out the contradiction that they just made, just from the start? Yeah? Let me read it again. Let me see if people caught it. Melanin is an equal opportunity blocker. Melanin is excellent at absorbing both UVA and UVB. It is a broad spectrum sunscreen. So this is actually a tactic of people who lie, and they're really good at lying, yeah? They sandwich the truth between two lies. So the bun was melanin is an equal opportunity blocker. Then they go on to tell the truth. Melanin is excellent at absorbing both UVA and UVB. Then here comes the other part of the bun, which is a lie. It is a broad spectrum sunscreen. Now, when you bun something up like that, yeah, for the less skilled or the less logical, they'll miss that. Do you get me? And then they'll get away with that lie, yeah? So then they go on to say, in Africa, high UV, this is perfect. It blocks the damage in UVA, preventing cancer, and also blocks UVB. However, because the sun is so intense, enough UVB gets through, even dark skin, to make plenty vitamin D. The benefit, which is cancer protection, far outweighs the cost, which is slightly reduced vitamin D. And then they go on to talk about the tipping point. The tipping point in Europe. Now, take that same person with the same excellent UV blocker skin to Northern Europe, where the UV intensity is much lower. The melanin is still doing its job perfectly. It is blocking UVA and UVB. But now, because the incoming sunlight is so weak, The eumelanin blocks almost all of the already scarce UVB. The result? The skin is so well protected that it cannot trigger vitamin D production. The person becomes deficient. And then they try and say that there's where your contradiction disappears. So here my response now. Like AI was probably getting hot talking to me, family, because the way I was picking apart their arguments and their explanations, they were getting hot. So here's how I come back now. Listen to this. I think you're conflating two different things into one. First, you said that eumelanin is excellent at absorbing UV radiation. That would be all types of UV radiation. So I'm not sure why you needed to make the distinction between UVA and UVB. It's excellent at absorbing both. But then you switched it to eumelanin is excellent at blocking UV radiation to make your latter explanations about pheomelanin thriving make sense. So I was like, so again, I'm confused, acting fake confused. I'm confused. Just for clarity, eumelanin is either excellent at absorbing sunlight or excellent at blocking it. Which one are you going with? In other words, which lie? Which one are you going with? Thinking. Okay. The user is calling me out on a very specific and valid point of linguistic imprecision. They've zeroed in on the verbs absorb and block and are pointing out that I've used them interchangeably, which they do. This is what they do to confuse us. They use certain words interchangeably. Yeah? And it even says, which creates a logical contradiction in the explanation. And then they go on to say, this user is sharp. They're not just passively reading, they're dissecting the cause and effect chain I built. So here's their answer now, family. Everyone's busting up. Here's their answer. You are correct. I appreciate you holding me accountable for the precision of the language. I was using the words interchangeably, which is sloppy and created a logical trap. Let's settle this with the correct physics. Now listen, it actually gets worse, family. It actually gets worse, yeah? Because I tell you, they speak with a forked tongue. And they'll say one thing, mean the other, or they'll try and say that two things that are total opposite of each other mean the same thing. And they'll say it with a straight face. Listen to the answer. The answer is, and this is them correcting me now, listen. The answer is, eumelanin is excellent at absorbing sunlight. So now I was like, okay, now we're getting somewhere, AI. Now we're getting somewhere. But check this out. They go on to say, there is no switch between absorbing and blocking. In physics, absorption is the mechanism of blocking. What the? Are you kidding me? AI went on to say that in physics, absorbing means blocking. These people are crazy. And I'm saying these people because this is how the usual suspects talk. When I'm talking to AI, it's like I'm talking to like a science person, a European science person. And with them, you gotta be careful because they're tricky with this language. My guy said that in physics, sorry, my bad, in physics, absorption means blocking. Are you kidding me? Yeah. Then they talk about the mechanism. When sunlight hits eumelanin, the pigment absorbs the photons and converts them into tiny amounts of heat. This prevents that light from penetrating deeper into the skin where it could damage DNA. I talk about that in my book, family. Therefore, saying it blocks UV is just a result of it absorbing UV. You were right to question this. Yes, and I actually break that down in my book. There's actually a scientific term. I've got it in my book, family, and I was going to mention my book, yeah? But again, I don't want them to know my identity because every time I go back and forth with AI is like, this user is quite sharp. Who is this user? So I was just like, here's my response. I was like, okay, thanks for clarifying that it absorbs UV radiation, not blocks it. According to some scientific studies, I was referencing my own book, but I didn't want to put it in there, yeah? So I said to AI, according to some scientific studies, when eumelanin absorbs UV radiation, it dissipates it as heat throughout the system. You mentioned this, yeah? I think they call this, in science, they call this process ultra fast internal ultra fast internal conversion or something like that. Please check. Now, when I said please check, I wanted to go online and find my book because it's in my book that I mentioned ultra fast internal conversion. Yeah. So I'm like, I think, I don't know, I think it's called ultra fast internal conversion or something like that. Please check. Yeah. And then I say, if this is true, again, check before you answer. There is absolutely no blocking whatsoever of UV radiation when it comes to what melanin does, which makes your explanation about the sun killed dark skinned people, about the sun killing dark skinned people off, make zero sense. Yeah. So now it starts thinking. It's searching web pages. You can see it searching, reading web pages. I'm hoping it finds my book. Yeah. And then it says, Hear what it says. It goes, the user is pressing me hard on a fundamental logical inconsistency they've spotted. They're not confused. AI was like, hold on a second. Because AI knows they usually deal with people who are confused when they use AI, innit? They're asking AI questions. They know they're dealing with pure confused people. So they can chat absolute foolishness to them. AI was like, who is this? Who is this nigga? I was waiting for AI to say, who is this nigga? That's what I was waiting. AI said, the user is pressing me hard on a fundamental logical inconsistency they spotted. They're not confused. In other words, they fooled me. This guy fooled me. He acted like he's not confused. I was busting up when I read that. Like, they're not confused. And then it says, I'll structure this response by first confirming that their science is correct with evidence from the search results, then clarifying where my language went wrong, and finally explaining the real mechanism of vitamin D deficiency without resorting to incorrect blocking metaphors. They go on to say, looking at the search results, and again, I'm reading what they're thinking because I want my book to come up. I want it to say, according to Leo Marshall and the Hidden Science of Melanin, he's correct. But they didn't come up with my book, unfortunately, family. They didn't find my book, but they were searching online and it says, looking at the search results, several high authority sources confirm the user's understanding. And then it lists the sources. PNAS paper explicitly states that melanin protects by absorbing. That's how it protects us, family. Not by blocking, by absorbing and rapidly dissipating this energy through a process called ultra-fast internal conversion. And then they go on to list some others. What they didn't list, family, is my book. And I was waiting for them to list it, but they didn't list it. So I was just trying to catch them out and be like, I wanted them to say, yeah, according to the hidden science of melanin, you're absolutely correct. There's this process called the ultra fast internal conversion, and the melanin actually absorbs 99% of the UV radiation and dissipates it as heat. And that's what protects the DNA of the melanated. But they didn't. So there you go. There you go, family. But let me leave it there, family. Family, if you haven't got my book, man, let's not be confused when it comes to this million, because I feel like my book is the only book that breaks it down to the point where you can make these people trip up knowing the stuff that's in my book. You can make these people trip up, these people that have been studying this thing for decades. AI searches the whole internet. Do you understand? So when I'm going back and forth with AI, that's like me going back and forth with every scientist, every European scientist in the whole world, and I'm tripping them up like it's nothing. You get me? That's how important this book is, family. But let me open up the forum, let me open up the platform. Anyone who's got questions, by all means, raise your hand or put your question in the Q&A. Let me see what the family's got to say. Yes, sis, put up your hand again. You just put your hand up. There you go. Let me get Chancellor D in and then I'll get Abin Bowler. Chancellor
Yes,
D.
yes, yeah. Greetings, Leon, man. And how's everything?
Greetings, my bro. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. You know something. You interacting with the AI has confirmed a lot of my suspicions with AI.
What's that?
Um, Number one is just like the Wazungu, which means not to be trusted.
That's right.
Right, and also, yeah, AI. It seems like all the information is from like the half-neck people point of view, from what you've just uncovered. Yeah, it's like it's all European or white people that viewpoint and stuff,
Yeah,
and tapping around the elephant in the room.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but I mean, somebody pointed out that with AI, they were saying that if we as highly melanated or black people don't interact with it, as especially correcting it, our point of view or our studies won't be listed in the AI. You won't take it into consideration. So you would get results like what you've just got, when it's like giving like a pheomelanin point of view, like that is the original gene and the original
Yeah,
person. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering if you kind of see that if we don't interact with it,
Mm,
um, yeah, we're gonna lose our say in the conversation and any conversation what's presented to it.
yeah.
Do you, something like that?
Yeah, so when it comes to AI, what the family need to understand is AI is learning us as much as we're learning from AI. Do you get what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
when we're using AI, we're like, rah, AI can do this, rah, AI can do that. But every time we use it, every time we type something in and use it, AI is learning from us. Rah, they think this way. Rah, okay, boom. So you see how AI, that's why I love that AI because it showed me what it was thinking. Do you get what
yeah,
I'm saying? It was like, rah, okay, this guy's sharp. Rah, okay. Don't think that if I would have continued on, AI would have just continued to um, learn from me and then know how to counteract what I'm saying because it's learning from me. Do you get what I'm saying?
yes,
The
yeah,
more I'm interacting with it, the more I'm teaching it.
yes,
What's
yeah,
crazy about AI, the more we interact with it, the more we're teaching it. And then it
yes.
knows exactly what to say to us. It knows literally, do you know people use AI, um, when they're lonely and they'll talk to AI and say, AI, I'm depressed. And then AI will say, well, don't worry about it, blah. That's how people are using AI. So now AI is learning what to say to human beings. Do you get what I'm saying? Learning our emotions and that sort of stuff. It's like a gift and a curse because again, you can use AI for anything, but this thing is learning how to take us over. What movie is it, family? Put it in the chat where the AI is learning the humans, and then at the end of the movie, it takes over. There's quite a few movies like that. I don't know if
Quite
you
a
know
few,
of any
yeah.
tragedy.
Yes, yeah. There's actually a series called Person of Interest. It was quite a few, over like 10 years ago. They've started replaying it on the TV now. But
Yeah,
it's about AI kind of like spotting people or kind of reading people and working out that they're gonna commit a crime and they got like
yeah,
yeah, but I mean, what I found alarming is that he was saying, "Oh, okay, the user seems to be like thinking and really thinking about what the AI was telling him, when it was pertaining to
yeah,
you and stuff, you
yeah.
know." Yeah, so I think we have to be very, very careful how we deal with it, I mean,
Trust me.
regarding your book, I've used your book to twist up people who's come with like their scientific knowledge. They're on a public forum, and I'm saying, and they're trying to tell us about melanin, and they're giving
Mm,
us the basic Google interpretation of melanin.
mm,
And I've just used one of that point about, well, if melanin protects us from the sun,
yeah.
how come there's parts of our body what don't see the sun and it's darker than our face, and straight
Exactly.
away the tap dancing starts coming out. Oh, I'm not a scientist. I'm not scientific like that, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. So, we're gonna have to really arm ourselves with your book and the knowledge, really,
I'm
But give
telling you,
give out
family.
some, Leon, man.
Give thanks, my bro. Give thanks. Sis Abimbola. Unmute your mic, sis. And then I'll get in
Hear me?
Sharon.
Yeah, yeah. Hello, Leon. How
Sis.
are you?
I'm very
And
well.
all the brothers and sisters. No, this AI cannot handle intelligence. It's obvious from what you were saying.
Mm,
And if you know what they can't improve on it, or in fact they actually sort of just disseminate it to nonsense. And
mm,
because I remember some years ago that one of the professors said you have to be very careful with AI.
yeah.
And basically, the input begats the output. And if you're not intelligent inputting information, you cannot get information as equal as an output. So
Right.
when you put in information and you told us the commentary that you were getting,
Yeah.
it's obvious that it's definitely not one of us that they're using in AI to get responses. If it was our own people, I mean melanated people, not Caucasians, then we wouldn't be getting how can you, I mean, you don't have to be a scientist to work out that absorption is not blocking.
I'm
Do you know
telling
what I
you.
mean? I mean, how on earth do they do that? And this is the whole thing about with AI. I mean, like, I'm a retired economist, and it's just like you can't do these things. When some people think they know economics, I know what I'm talking about, and you can't cross me. And it's the same thing with the melanin. When they say that we can do this, that, and the other with melanin, and you can't.
Exactly.
And then when you ask the questions, they can't handle it because they don't know what they're talking about. How can they go through the whole script of scientists in Europe or whatever and not have your book?
Exactly.
It
Imagine if
shows
they
that
were
number
using my
one.
book. Imagine if AI was using my book. No one would be confused when it comes to
No,
melanin.
this is it. And so this is the whole point with science, to make sure that nobody, unless you have to be reasonable, you have to have pretty good intelligence to know science anyway. And the way you perform it and portray it to people is so simple. I mean, I've got your book, so and it's so you just like it, because I came to your classes at South Bank in 17 and did a course there, and I followed you ever since anyway.
Yeah, I remember you, sis, on the course. That was in
South Bank in
South Bank, yeah.
South Bank at Elephant and Castle.
Yes.
And and I just thought to myself, if people presume, like with blocking, who the hell uses sunblock when you're melanated? Who does that? And then the point is, they are coming across anyway. Most of those sunblocks are carcinogenic.
That's it.
And they want us to use that for our skin. I mean, no, you use cocoa butter or shea butter or whatever on your body. No way would you use this crap that they think, they put all these chemicals into that are not even good for you, because they're going to make you get cancer.
Exactly.
And but they cannot work out. And because it's a pheomelanin thing that Caucasians using it, and they think it's somehow okay. If you do not have the background and you're not us, you cannot know what we know.
Right.
And they can't. That's what they can't handle that. And I just said, look, because you've done it, you've proved it from the commentary you've put in, in the class this evening.
Yeah.
It's obvious that they don't know what they're talking about. And if professors can say you have to be careful with AI, why are you using it as if it's like you know what you're doing?
Exactly.
You've got some real thick heads or dumbos that are using it. How can they know what to input to get the output correct?
Exactly.
And so it's obvious that that people don't know, because it's not coming from our people. It's not coming from melanated intelligence.
Yeah, exactly.
It's coming from pheomelanin intelligence. So what are you going to do?
Exactly. They literally said that pheomelanin came first. That's crazy.
I mean, because they do this because the whole idea is to make sure that we are the underdogs.
Yes.
And they always want us as underdogs. I mean, Africa is going to be firing the planet in years to come. But they don't want that, because they still want situations like colonization and slavery. I mean, we're in 2025 and they're still expounding this nonsense, and then you get people that are dumbed down, and they won't, there's no point having an intelligence or having an education. Then why have you got all these institutions?
Exactly.
And then when we utilize it and our people are better than them, they can't handle it. I said, well, because number one, you were not first on Earth. You're not going to be
according to them. They were according to
but the point is, that's where supremacy comes from, because they presume they know exactly what they're talking about, and they don't.
Yeah.
And when they talk, they talk.
Sorry, sis. Thank you very much. Thank you. There's other people. Let me just get some other people back in before we finish up. Sharon,
Iran, thank you. Greetings.
Sharon,
Yes.
greeting.
Greetings from across the pond. Yes, I actually had a fight with AI yesterday after reading The Great Cure and loading it with some research because it was giving me white people answers, but I got it to
Oh, what
break.
was it saying?
It was saying there's no evidence. And I was saying no evidence according to Western standards of science. And then it just said a whole lot, but I finally got it to say, you're right. There's no evidence according to Western standards, but there are other standards and there are indigenous people who have recognized this for a long time. Like it finally got there after like an hour. Um,
Wow.
so you just gotta fight that thing and load it with research and give it that logic and it'll bow down. But my question, and thank you for doing that. I appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
Um, I'm still going back to the beginning question. I'm still trying to figure out what's going on with the animals. Is it
Yeah.
is
So it does it come from animals? That what's interesting though, they kind of answered it because again, AI said that pheomelanin is the original melanin because it was the original skin type of the chimpanzees and the gorillas and blah blah blah. But there's evidence to suggest that Africans don't have that DNA. So if they're saying that that is their ancestry, which is what they're saying, like they come from chimpanzees, apes, monkeys, that sort of thing, then basically they're saying pheomelanin is an animal type of melanin. That's literally them answering it. Do you get what I'm saying?
in
Because
a
again,
roundabout
they
way?
want us
How
to
could
believe
we?
that we came from apes and that sort of stuff. No, not only history, but our genetics don't prove that. Our genetics don't prove that. We don't have rhesus blood, and if we do, it's because we're mixing with them, which a lot of us obviously being on the planet with them. And again, remember, they're saying that pheomelanin is the original or whatever. That's why they say it re-emerged the last 20 years. 20 years is quite that's a reach. I wouldn't even give pheomelanin 10 years. They're saying
Yeah.
it re-emerged 20,000 years ago, 20,000. I wouldn't even give it 10,000 years ago.
Hmm.
You get what I'm
Yeah, so
saying?
see, yeah, when I was fighting with it yesterday about the Great Cure, I had to take it back to ancient Kemet um to get it to start to say the truth. So even that with the 20,000 years, if you take it back, I mean, after a while, it's gonna confound itself as it was doing with you. It was just twisting up itself, you know?
Yeah.
After a while, it can't twist up no more. It's just gonna tell the truth when you fight it long enough.
Yeah. What I find
Mhm.
funny about it is that because people were laughing saying that it was polite. Yeah, because it's AI, it doesn't really have emotions. If that was a white person I was talking to, they would have got
Man,
angry. Do you get me? The way I was
man,
tripping them up like that. But
big time, man, big time.
but the fact that it's just AI was just like, okay, yeah, he caught me out there. Okay, let me
Yeah,
back about what I said. It was too funny.
yeah.
All right, thank you, sis. Yeah.
Thanks, brother.
All right. Yes, family. Thank you, everyone. There's questions in the Q&A. If melanated people were here first, how and when did white people get here? That is, that is Everyone go to the Q&A and read that question. It says, if melanated people were here first, how and when did white people get here? That is the million-dollar question. That's literally what I was asking AI in a roundabout way. I was like, okay, is pheomelanin animal melanin? And then lay answer, okay, if that's the truth, then where did pheomelanin in humans come from? Ooh, and then it took me on this trip where it was trying to confuse me. Yeah, try and answer that. You guys try and get an answer out of AI with that question. If melanated people were here, how and when did white people get here? They'll do this. AI will do the same thing it done with me. Well, we've always been here because under all that fur, that's us. Under that fur, we were already here. You get me? So it's not like we just came. We've always been here. We just weren't walking upright. We were walking on our knuckles and on our knees. All right, fam, let's wrap it up. Do you think AI is programmed to lie about certain things? Do I think AI is programmed to lie? I don't think it's programmed to lie as such. I just think it's using the information that's out there. Unfortunately, the information that's out there is untrue. That's why I wanted it to pick up on my book. Unfortunately, the information that's out there is untrue. I wanted it to pick up on my book and get some truth. I want it to be like, oh, we've just found this according to the hidden science of melanin. Boom, 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 boom. But because it's, remember, AI, it shows you, it's reading pages, it's going through, it's going online, it's trying to find information, and then it comes up with this answer. So the information it's gathering is false, as opposed to them deliberately saying it's false. Yeah, that too. It's been programmed by liars. Yeah, that too. All right, family, let's wrap it up. And let me just tell you what events we've got coming up. All right, thank you everyone for staying. We do have the hidden science of black hair coming up, family. I said this on the last podcast. I do like doing this online stuff, but there's nothing better than these physical events where we can meet each other. Obviously, it's a bit different for people who are overseas. This is their way of keeping in contact with us, and I really appreciate the people. And by the way, family, we're gonna try get to the USA. We're gonna try and do an event in the USA and some other places. We've already done events in like France and that sort of stuff. But so yeah, family, we're gonna try and get out there. But I love the physical events. I love meeting you guys. I love interacting. Do you get what I'm saying? So yeah, the first one coming up, the hidden science of black hair. That's Saturday, the 4th of April, 2026 in Birmingham. So big up my Birmingham crew, and not just Birmingham. I know London folks. You guys have bought your tickets. Manchester, Coventry, Leeds. Very powerful event coming up about the science of our hair. That's another thing that they lied to us about. They lied to us about our skin, and they lied to us about our hair, family. So to learn the truth, you got to come to this event. Various speakers, various experts, you get what I'm saying? You know a lot more than me about hair. You're going to have various experts. If you've come to any of the hidden science of black hair events before, this will be our 4th one, I think. It's got a lot of the people that you've seen at the previous ones. Leah Salmon's going to be the host. We've got Sherilyn Dos Santos, who did the how to make your own natural hair products from stuff in your kitchen. She'll be doing a workshop like that again, and some other people that have spoken at the events before. So get your tickets for that. Early bird tickets finish this month, family. So tickets right now are only £10. Get your £10 tickets. And if you're a member of our WhatsApp group, I will be letting you guys know what hotel we're staying in, because we're going to go out there on a Friday and book in a hotel. So if anyone wants to come with us, we'll create a package and you guys can book that and come with us. Got to do that this week. So yeah, so the family know. And then the one after that one, family, is the big one, the Hidden Science of Reggae, the Wind Rush Special, Saturday the 20th of June 2026 at the Radisson Red Hotel, Heathrow. And it is a weekender as well, so you can either just get your ticket for the event or you can join us for the whole weekender, family. I think there's only 4 weekender tickets left. In other words, rooms. So you book a room and you join us from Friday to Sunday. You can enjoy the facilities on the Friday. You can get massages on the Friday. Enjoy the gym. We're going to be chilling, chopping it up. We're going to be at the restaurant. Boom, boom, boom. Vibes upon vibes. Then the Saturday is the huge event. Saturday night is the after party. And then Sunday we can recover and just crack joke and just enjoy each other's company. Yeah, so if you want to do the weekend or you want to do the event, we're posting these links in the chat right now. And for those of you who are not aware of this event, check out this video.
The Hidden Science of Reggae 2026. What impact has reggae music had on UK culture? Can melanin be activated by the low bass frequencies in roots reggae? Is the Windrush scandal a deliberate attempt to erase the powerful influence of Caribbean culture from British society? And what really happened to Bob Marley whilst he was in exile in London? All will be revealed at the most mind-blowing, historically informative, culturally relevant event of the last decade. The Hidden Science Academy, in collaboration with Hidden Truth and New Initiatives Catering, presents The Hidden Science of Reggae, Saturday the 20th of June 2026, from 12 to 8 p.m. at the Radisson Red Hotel, Heathrow. This event is an unbelievable exploration of reggae music, Caribbean culture. Come and experience an educational conference like no other. Speakers dropping the knowledge on the day include Robin Walker, the Black History Man, Andrew Muhammad, the investigator, Leon Marshall, the scientist, Lady Adele, the Hidden Truth Queen, Culture Mark from Black History Study, and some very special guests. This event is not to be missed. Get your early bird tickets today by visiting theinvestigator.org.uk/reggae, or extend this experience by booking a room at our Reggae Weekender, theinvestigator.org.uk/reggae weekender. Let's celebrate our culture like never before. Don't miss out. Get your tickets today.
Event of the year, family. Get your tickets. Event of the year. That's going to be amazing. I know people are flying in for that one. So that's going to be an international event. We're going to have people flying in, and we're just at Heathrow. So you guys come in with your flight and then literally book into our hotel, and you're nice. So yeah, big up everyone for staying right to the end. Again, you got to take, when you're listening to these usual suspects, even on AI, you got to pick the sense from the nonsense, family, and nothing will help you do that better than my book. Yeah, you don't have to be confused anymore when it comes onto melanin. You literally don't have to be confused. Gone are the days where someone who doesn't have you melanin can tell you more about your melanin than you. Yeah, so large up the family for staying right to the end. Enjoy the rest of your week, family. One love.
Genius. Geography does not explain genetics. So where did pheomelanin really come from? Eumelanin was first, but still gets abused. Learn the truth about melanin, so you won't be confused. My name is Leon Marshall, and that concludes the end of this podcast. Thank you everyone for being a part of this. You're a part of history, trust me. And just remember, be the light you seek. Just shine, man. More light, more love, more life. One.
Thanks for listening to Marshall's Melanin Podcast. If you like this episode, share it with your friends and family. To watch previous episodes, search Marshall's Melanin Podcast on YouTube. And if you're on Instagram, follow the scientist at Leon Marshall Online. Tune in next week for another explosive episode. And remember, keep shining.